Hey everyone, it's your buddy back again with another exciting fanfic, which is what if Naruto left Konoha and the village begged for his return. Council bashing, Harem Part 2. If you enjoy this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more fanfics like this. Now, let's dive right into the fanfic. Genma called out the next combatants. May Sasuke Uchiha and Masami Uzumaki please come to the field for the next fight. Said fighters came almost instantaneously, took around 45 steps back, and got into their taijutsu stances. Masami recognized the Uchiha's interceptor taijutsu style and adjusted herself into the guardian dragon stance. It was the opposite of the warrior dragon. This one required both leg and arm endurance and strength. The user had to quickly block while countering if possible, and with thousands of combos and patterns, it was a difficult style to learn. But Masami managed to along with Naruto, who favored the warrior dragon and amped it using his chakra. Sasuke ran at Masami with his left hand flat pointing at her with his thumb curled on his palm. The style was similar to a spear. As he striked with brute force, the Uzumaki easily dodged. One of the hits struck the ground and left a hole around 3 inches. Shit, I can't get hit by that. I need to go against Ni-san and get revenge on this bastard. Masami thought as she was determined to win against the traitor who almost killed her brother. She prepared several hand seals and yelled, "Water style, Barracuda torrent." Chakra seemed to drift through the air and then water started to appear from the air. In the water formed thin, long fish with razor-sharp teeth and swam to attack Sasuke, who was submerged while Masami was standing on the water. Sasuke quickly swam up, jumped and used a familiar jutsu. Naruto quickly recognized the hand seals and warned his sister, Masami, he's going to use Chidori. Get out of the water. But it was too late. Sasuke dived down arm first and yelled, Chidori wave. The lighting flowed through the water causing the Barracuda to be destroyed and Masami was electrocuted. She fell once the water faded, but stood up. From her posture, the electricity numbed her left leg and right arm and shoulder. She grabbed made one-hand seals. Just then Sasuke was in front and the sound of multiple birds chirping filled the air. Chidori, Sasuke just spoke in a cold voice. His Chidori stabbed the female Uzumaki in her stomach. Blood started to pour from her mouth and wound. Her figure fell and Sasuke just spoke, "How about that bitch?" Naruto could only witness in horror as his sister was stabbed by the very same jutsu that almost killed him. He had had enough. He released his chaotic chakra subconsciously as he sped towards his sister. His body emitted ki that made the Kyuubi look like an ant. The blonde's eyes became crimson red like usual, but his sclera whites of the eyes turned black. He ran towards his sister, but Sasuke blocked him. That resulted in Naruto throwing a right hook which broke the Uchiha's jaw and sent him back several feet. The male Uzumaki made around 45 hand seals at very quick speeds and said a jutsu, angelic sealing art, transfer of burdens. The area started to fill with pure white and silver chakra. The feeling was warm and cozy, angelic some would have said. Masami's blood flowed back into her body and she gasped as she regained consciousness. The redhead looked around and saw her brother. Ni-san, you used that jutsu, didn't you? All the Jinchuriki weakly said was, "Masami, don't be so careless with anger and hatred." His abdomen started to burst out with blood and his mouth pour blood too. The crowd was shocked at what happened. A teenager had healed his sister from a very fatal wound, but something was wrong. The medics scurried and opened his shirt and cloak to reveal his chiseled chest and a hole in his stomach. But instead of continuing to bleed, the wound was closing and the bleeding was starting to stop. Red energy consumed his body and his skin burned as he went into his version 2 Kyuubi form with 5 tails. Konoha villagers were panicking from the return of the Kyuubi, but Naruto's Kyuubi chakra started to fade, revealing his pre-demon form with his animalistic features and his burnt skin, now quickly healing. He got up and acted like nothing happened. In the cage box, the Raikage was amazed of Uzushio's shinobi. "Uzukage dono, how did your shinobi do that?" Kushina just answered with extreme proudness, "He is a special case." Naruto used to be a Konoha shinobi but was betrayed by the very shinobi that stabbed that girl who is actually his sister. And the same shinobi almost killed him during a retrieval mission to prevent him from going to Orochimaru. Gaara spoke up and asked, "Why would you have a traitor in your ranks?" Tsunade just sighed and replied, "The civilian council is pain. Them and the villagers all try to overpower me, but I manage." Gaara was mystified by one factor. "How do you know so much about Naruto?" Kushina just grinned and answered, "Because I am his mother Kushina Uzumaki and he is the heir of the Uzumaki clan. A mother cannot be a mother without learning about her son. And Gaara-san, Naruto has told me about you, thank you for helping him during the retrieval mission." "Glad to help, but I should be thanking you and your son. He saved me from myself and helped me befriend Shukaku." The Sand Shadow spoke with a now common smile. "I think the next match is about to start." Back on the field, Genma got out of his stupor and yelled the names of the next two combatants. "May you take Hayabusa and Naruto Uzumaki please come to the field." Naruto was already there and just got into his usual Fox Fang Kenjutsu stance with his new Soul's Judgment. Utake just calmly walked and grabbed his oversized Zanbato. "I guess this battle will decide Uzushio's best swordsman, huh, Naruto-san?" Naruto smiled with his blood-red demon eyes and spoke with a voice that partially scared Utake. "I guess so, Utake-san. So don't expect me to hold back." Naruto ran at Utake with white-hot fury and swung at the Hayabusa's feet, who jumped and brought down his Zanbato vertically. The blonde horizontally flipped aside and used a jutsu, wind style, gale wall. The wind picked up, and as it did, Utake felt the wind hold him like an invisible prison. In front of him was Naruto preparing to slice him. Just then Utake used his own jutsu, earth style, headhunter. The calm swordsman disappeared into the ground. Naruto heard movement in the ground, but when he realized it, he was in the ground. Utake grinned with victory until the blonde poofed. It was a shadow clone, and when Utake realized it, he was grabbed by two Narutos while one was running at the three at full speed. The Hayabusa swordsman was retrained, and with Naruto running at him he was sure Naruto wouldn't kill him, but it seemed like he would. Mazmai realized his and yelled at Naruto from the crowd, "Ni-san, what are you doing?" The Naruto on the right was the real one and came to his senses just in time. So when Tei charging clone slashed at Utake, Naruto jumped in front of him and took the blow and blood splashed everywhere. Utake yelled as he tried to stop the bleeding, "I forfeit." The whole thing was a bloody mess just like before, and just like before Naruto began to heal. The medic on the left yelled at him, "Kami kid, how many times are you gonna almost kill yourself?" The Jinchuriki gave him a warm smile as he got up and spoke, "2 times more. And can you ask the girl with the red hair to get my second suit please? Mine is torn too much." Naruto's shinobi uniform had a huge hole and now a slash that had been extended for medical jutsu. So basically Naruto's front was shirtless, much to Hinata's displeasure due to the drooling female population. As he changed and took a shower in the locker room inside the arena, the cage began to talk. "That boy of yours is amazing, Kushina-san." The Raikage spoke with such intensity. The Uzukage thanked him, "Thank you, A-san. I try to do the best for him, because I have only known him for 3 years. It is a very touchy subject. I understand. I have had my fair share, because of my little brother, B." A replied. Gaara asked Tsunade and Kushina a question he was curious about. "I thought Naruto had total control of the Kyuubi, so why did he partly lose control?" Tsunade answered the first half. Naruto can lose control and unleash the Kyuubi's chakra based on his emotions of hatred, loss, and despair. Then Kushina continued, he can actually only control 8 tails of the Kyuubi's chakra, and he has 2 extra types of chakra. What I am about to tell you is very secretive that I hope you will keep secret. Naruto has inherited the Uzumaki clan's silver dragon chakra. Eventually we found out that his dragon chakra mixed with the Kyuubi's chakra to create a chaos chakra of sorts. I hope you will keep this information private. The Kage was the first to speak. Of course, Kushina-san, I trust your son and he trusts me. So you can trust us. I agree. I owe you for what my forefathers did. I am sorry for what my country did. The Raikage informed in a sincere voice. They continued to talk about the current revelations and political issues, until the next match. May Shikamaru Nara and Tayamo Arazu come down to the field for the next battle. Genma yelled, requested. Once both shinobi arrived at their respective distance, Tayamo spoke, "Nara huh? Your and my clans were once united. Our abilities were opposites, and in the end we fought to see who was stronger. It was never decided due to our clan's immigration to Uzushio. But this battle will now decide it. Prepare yourself, Nara. Shikamaru just sighed and said his trademark phrase with its usual boredom and laziness. Troublesome, why do I have to get caught in this clan dispute? The Nara prepared his family jutsu, shadow imitation. Shikamaru's shadow began to reach toward Tayamo, who made hand seals of her own, threw several kunai with seal tags onto the sides of the lower area, and informed him, "This is my bloodline, solar style, blinding glare." The kunai started to emit light which caused Shikamaru's shadow to dissipate. The lazy Nara took note of the events. As long as those kunai are on the wall, I can't see or use my jutsu. I packed around 3 explosive tags, but if I use them I might injure some of the audience. Troublesome. In his mid, Shikamaru calculated the precise angle, velocity, and distance to throw the explosive kunai that would destroy Tayamo's kunai. The shinobi thought that Shikamaru literally blindly threw the kunai judging from the sound, whereas Konoha's shinobi couldn't tell crap. He triggered the 3 kunai that had landed 5.2 feet in front of the wall and a quarter foot into the ground. Everybody heard an explosion as the light started to fade. Tayamo commented at her distant cousin with a surprised voice, 3 minutes and 17 seconds. You are the second person to break through my blinding glare, but your calculations were wrong. The kunai should have gone 7 inches deeper. The explosion destroyed some of the wall. Your clan uses yang release whereas mine uses yin. I see what you meant by opposites, Shikamaru said as he relayed all the information he gathered, but did you see through the light? Tayamo grinned. Simple, the Irazu clan's eyes have adapted to extreme light intensity. The lens in our eyes can safely allow us to see through extreme light and ultraviolet light. Not only is it useful but also beautiful, because we can't see colors that normal people's eyes would filter out. She put on strange white gloves and prepared 5 hand seals. Shikamaru did the same, but he was preparing shadow stitching instead. As the warping shadow reached, the Irazu female yelled her own jutsu, solar style, UV pierce. A beam of light came from the sky and focused on Tayamo's hands and blasted toward Shikamaru. Suddenly Shikamaru felt his hand burn with a very strong heat. The blast continued for only 1 second then stopped. When Shikamaru saw his hands, they had 3rd-degree burns and were charred, but also he could feel them. Naruto and medic Nins came down to inspect the wound. The medic on the left told Naruto and Tayamo about the Nara's injuries. Well, he has 3rd-degree burns on his palm, fingers and some of his wrist and says he can't feel or move his hand. Damn it Tayamo, you melted his tendons and nerves, Naruto slightly scolded. Tayamo looked down. Sorry Naruto-kun, I guess I pushed too much chakra into the jutsu. Aw shit, this is gonna hurt. Angelic sealing art. Transfer of burdens. Shikamaru's injuries rapidly healed and he could move and feel his hand again. Naruto was cussing enough to make a sailor proud as his hand was burning but still healing. The same medic from before just quietly said, I might as well quit. Kit, I need to discuss something very important with you, the Kyuubi requested Naruto from his mindscape. Mindscape. Alright, what is it Kurama? The blonde asked in a cheerful voice. Well, I reviewing your DNA and body details to ensure the sealing hadn't affected you, but I found 2 interesting things. The first is a gift from your pact. If a Uzumaki gains the pact of the Dragon Knight, then they receive a gift. It is called the Dragon's Eye. It is a bloodline that allows the user to see others' true self and emotion. But over time it has evolved and now you can see thermal signatures and an X-ray vision of sorts. It pinpoints the body's vital organs and pressure. Whoa, when the hell did I get so lucky? Let me finish Naruto. I checked your chakra networks for abnormalities. And I found that you actually have 2 chakra networks. One for your regular chakra and the other for your chaotic chakra. Your chaos type was becoming unstable, so your body subconsciously created a 2nd chakra network. Due to this, you will need to control your emotions because it is triggered by hatred and anger like mine was. Otherwise you are a tip-top shape. Damn. Thanks for the heads up Kurama. Oh, by the way, how's the new home? Pretty cool. I was experimenting and may have found a way to gain entrance into the physical world without me being summoned, but it is only in my human form. Nice. I have to go. But we can talk soon. Bye. Naruto faded from his mindscape. This left Kurama happy about things. Well, it's nice to see he is focusing outside of his mindscape. While Naruto and Kurama were discussing about Naruto's second chakra network, the fight between Shino and Akaru began. Presently it seemed like Shino was about to win the fight. Naruto asked a Kumo nin next to him named Omoi on how the fight began. He explained on how Shino baited Akaru on calling him fat just like Choji. So Akaru rushed in using his acid style clumsily attempting to slow him down. He managed to burn him on his abdomen, but Akaru was spored with one of the Aburame clan's parasitic insects. The black neural beetle was currently attached on Akaru's neck trying to attach to his spinal column to control his body. Battlefield. This lump is starting to hurt like hell. I give myself about 2.5 minutes tops, Akaru said as he lost feeling of the pinky, ring finger, and middle finger in his left hand. Not only would the effect take longer, but the Hotoki used too much chakra in the taunt, so his body couldn't fight the parasitic effects as strongly as it could. Shino just casually stood and spoke, "You rushed into the battle without being logical and focusing on your opponent. Your mistake was the cause, and this is the effect." The Aburame reached into his hood and took out an object with a chain. He strapped the object to his wrist and let the chain drop. It was a bladed chain, about 9 feet long, and had a seal on the base of the blade. It was a kanji for melt, and something told Akaru it had a coating or ability related to fire or acid. The hooded shinobi twirled the chain around him similar to a bow staff. With a very fluid movement he threw the blade at Akaru, who barely dodged. When the stray blade hit the ground, it made a sizzling noise and the ground was singed with a light green substance. Acid? Why couldn't I be fire? Akaru complained to himself as he threw kunai and shuriken to block the chain blade. All of the projectiles the Hotoki threw instantly melted upon impact. As they gained an idea while hiding behind a boulder, Akaru charged at Shino with his new jutsu, acid style, enzyme fist. Akaru attempted to stab or punch him. By the sound of the jutsu, Shino knew he had to dodge the jutsu. He began to flip with agility no one had expected except for Kurenai. At the precise moment, he grabbed his blade and stabbed Akaru. The chubby boy faded into a puddle. Shino realized it was a water clone. A chakra signature appeared above him, so he jumped back. Crash. A huge crater occurred in front of Shino 2 feet away. As the figure inside the dust stood up, he threw his chain around Akaru and shut the chakra flow to the blade, so the blade didn't melt him. Nonetheless, he was captured and had loss. Shino walked up to Akaru and removed the beetle as Genma announced the winner, Shino Aburame. The crowd cheered once again, but this time it was the foreign visitors too. Because Shino had won fairly without trying to completely kill his opponent. True, he had his moments, but he didn't sap out his chakra in an instant or use his chain to melt. As the crowd settled down, Genma announced the new combatants in order: Tayamo Arazu vs Naruto Uzumaki, Shino Aburame vs Hinata Hyuga, and Sasuke Uchiha vs the winner of the first fight. Naruto and Tayamo instantaneously got out of their seats and shushin to the field for the next fight. 3, 2, 1, fight. May the fight between Naruto Uzumaki and Tayamo Arazu begin. Genma announced and quickly got off the field. He had enough sense to know not to bluff this battle with collateral damage. Once the special Jonin was off the field, one distinct cry was heard: solar style, heat wave. A wave of intense thermal energy was projected towards Naruto. Tayamo's jutsu used a mass of chakra and her bloodline to repel Naruto back, so his kenjutsu and taijutsu couldn't reach her, and the heat would make it difficult for Naruto to use a jutsu of his own. Luckily, the blonde knew how to counter the Arazu's jutsu, dragon style, roar of the wild. As he took a deep breath in, his dragon chakra gathered around his figure. And with a robust burst of energy, he roared greater than the Kyuubi on a bad day. His massive amount of dragon chakra caused the heat wave to fade into a cool breeze. Don't tell me you used your ace card already, Tayamo-chan, Naruto mocked as he unsealed his Demon's Bane katanas. You wish, Tayamo replied as she grabbed her own twin kodashis and put them reversed and edged at her arm. The Jinchuriki ran at Tayamo with a standard Uzushio Kenjutsu style so he wouldn't hurt her too bad. Both blades clashed with sparks from the blurred impacts. Most of the slashes and swipes were countered by each other. Naruto ran at the girl and swiped her legs, who jumped and did a axe kick at Naruto. Said Uzumaki blocked the kick with his arm and threw it away, then after he countered, he jumped back on his palm. Golden Dance of the Crescent Moon. Naruto yelled as he turned into a golden tornado of blades. He quickly approached Tayamo. She rapidly made hand seals for a defense jutsu, Earth style, Earth Wall. A chunk of mud and rock around 2.5 feet thick erupted between the two combatants, so Naruto's Kenjutsu technique slashed through the wall. Tayamo asked, "Going a bit over the top, are we?" "Sorry, but I am in a bit of a rush to finish this so I can kill a certain gay emo bastard," Naruto replied as his eyes shifted. Not like the Kyuubi version, but different. His irises were luminescent green and altering in shades of greens with a hint of blue and yellow, and his pupils were slit. His vision was very different. It seemed to only focus on Tayamo and not the crowd. Her body became highlighted at vital organs as yellow and pressure points in green. He found a quick pressure point and came up with a strategy for it. Naruto grabbed a kunai, slit his hand with it, let the blood fall on the ground and spoke his jutsu, demon style, blood clone. The two drops increased in size, formed into a figure, then their pigment grew into Naruto's color. They dispersed and attacked the Arazu air hands to blades. They circled around her 15 feet from her location, increasing in speed until Naruto became a blur. The blur developed into red lightning. Tayamo realized he was using his crimson speed seal. Should I let him use his seal? And now he could strike from anywhere. The red lightning continued quickly increasing in speed. Suddenly two blood clone appeared from the lightning and attacked Tayamo. The first attempted to hit her with a palm hit, but Tayamo stabbed his hand. Then a fear came over her as she looked at the effect of her counter. The clone's hand regenerated after a small spill of blood. The clone took the time to kick her knee, then topple her over. Once he dived at her for the final strike, Tayamo grabbed her kodashi and stabbed the clone in the heart, which instantly dissolved into a red mist, so a fatal hit is needed to force dispel blood clones. She ran at the last one, who threw a punch. She caught it with her hand, and used her kodashi to deeply slash the clone's chest. As the young nin got in position to attack her opponent, the red lightning disappeared. With Naruto. "Kurama, are you sure this will work?" Naruto asked his tenant. Both came up with an idea while testing out the Crimson Speed Seal. Theoretically, the Speed Seal should be able to generate enough energy to rip through the fabric of the present dimension's space and time, the Kyuubi explained. Here goes nothing. As the blonde continued to run, he ran through a sort of tunnel of bending light and darkness until he came across the arena with him in physical combat with Tayamo. He ran at her, swiped her legs, and left into his present time. Naruto was in the medical bay applying ointment and gauze to his wounds. "Kit, you just accomplished time travel." The Biju yelled in his head. "So can you tell me what happened after I returned into my own time?" "When you returned, you instantly remembered our plan, and held your sword at Tayamo's throat, who surrendered. Then you were declared winner. The match was postponed back for 15 to 20 minutes because of your planned laxatives prank in Genma's sake, so you took the time to heal. And by the way, you used too much of your chakra, because you are now healing 35% slower. Save it for the fight against the Uchiha." The giant chakra fox spoke but spat out with venom in the last word. Naruto acknowledged his words and left the mindscape. "Okay, thanks." The blonde rushed to see Hinata's match against Shino. He arrived just before Genma ran out of the bathroom and allowed the match to start. May the match between Shino Aburame and Hinata Hyuga begin. The bug user allowed 5 beetles to burrow in the ground as he made one-handed seals. Exponential growth, Shino spoke as his hands started to glow once they touched the ground. Hinata recognized the jutsu. He is using his chakra to accelerate the growth of his beetles. Now his bugs will attempt to protect him while his jutsu is complete. Hinata's hypothesis was correct as his bugs formed into 6 clones of Shino, each with their own chain blades. Once the clones surrounded her, all of them spun and threw the blade at her. She ducked it Matrix style, and grabbed 2 of the blades and pulled on them. The effect was the 2 bug clones forcefully pulled into each other and crashing, simultaneously dispelling them. One of the clones threw his blade after the first 2 dispelled, but when the blade hit the ground, Hinata noticed the melt seal was gone. Once she stabbed the clone with a kunai, The Hyuga informed her teammate of what she had discovered. Only your chain blade has the acidic ability, doesn't it, Shino-san? Sadly, my clan sealer's logic was incorrect, and fortunately for you, the acid transference seal does not copy. Shino spoke as he poured more chakra into his jutsu. Hinata took this to consideration as she finished off the last clone with a quick water jutsu, water style. Brine needles, small senbon shot out of Hinata's mouth and hit the clone in many places, dispelling it. The Hyuga looked around and saw a glow from the ground that indicated Shino's jutsu was almost complete. She instantly punched the ground, creating multiple deep fractures that shows 5 red cocoons with yellow streaks. Water style. Water clone, Hinata yelled as 4 more clones appeared. All took out projectiles and threw it at the cocoons, allowing their gooey contents and premature beetles to spill, now dead. Shino was about to take out his chain blade, but found 2 fingers pointing at the back of his neck. Surrender, Shino-san, you are out of chakra and defenseless, Hinata Hyuga spoke with a firm voice, still soft as silk. Shino Aburame, forfeit, said Shinobi spoke as Hinata was announced winner. She ran to her friends and literally jumped into Naruto's arms as he kissed her. That was awesome, Hinata-chan. You are awesome. Hinata started to blush 50 shades of red as he continued his praising. It was in 4 full minutes as he stopped. So Naruto, what was that second streak of lightning during your match? All of your clones were dispelled and you never made any extra, Ino asked the blonde as he explained to his friends, that was me from 7 minutes in the future. With enough speed and focus from my Crimson Speed Seal, the user can literally break through the fabric of space and time. How I see it, time is a road. With enough precision, you can take a detour to a different location. Everyone's jaws were hanging and their eyes were saucers, even his own teammates. Finally Kiba spoke up, you genius bastard. You can literally change history. Go into the past and help the Shadaime Hokage kill Madara Uchiha. Kiba, it's not as that simple, Naruto interjected, explaining his logic. It requires much time, focus and speed. It took 675 miles per hour to travel back 7 minutes. Plus, even if I do manage to, it would completely change the space-time continuum. I may not even know my family, or may cease to exist. Time is very delicate. That is why I've only used it once. Oh, well, maybe in time you can get even faster, Kiba hoped. Oh shit, I forgot, Naruto, it's your match against Sasuke. The blonde's eyes quickly changed crimson, his whiskers started to define, and his voice changed. Thank you, Kiba. Now I get the revenge I have been waiting 3 years for. The cubified Naruto spoke as he shushed to the field where Sasuke stood with an arrogant smirk. To annoy the Uzumaki even further, the raven-haired bastard boasted, you should just quit Dobi. You got lucky 3 years ago, so you might as well me those swords and forfeit. The Jinchuriki just chuckled in a dark voice and replied, if you want them, you will have to take them. Naruto ran at him with a kunai and swung at his right thigh, creating a moderately deep gash, causing the Uchiha to grunt in pain in attempt to avoid the continuous attack of his ex-teammate. Sasuke grabbed he kept in a scroll in his kunai pouch and unsealed it, revealing an ornate katana, with rubies. The look of it caused a certain pink-haired girl to screech, prepare for hell, Naruto Baka. Because you lost the moment you thought you could beat Sasuke. She never got to finish that sentence as a red-haired swordsman brought the blunt end of a kodashi on her temple, instantly knocking her the daylight out of her. The Avenger made multiple hand seals for his family jutsu, fire style, Great Fireball. A large sphere of intense heat was created, charging at Naruto like a bullet, or kunai. He stood still until he made a jutsu of his own, wind style, Great Air Gale. The fireball faded into nothing as a strong breeze of wind pushed it back. Then Naruto did another jutsu for the same combo Sasuke used, water style, plain flood. The water level started to rise to their ankles and then stopped. Sasuke laughed at this. Sasuke grabbed he kept in a scroll in his kunai pouch and unsealed it, revealing an ornate katana, with rubies. The look of it caused a certain pink-haired girl to screech, prepare for hell, Naruto Baka. Because you lost the moment you thought you could beat Sasuke. She never got to finish that sentence as a red-haired swordsman brought the blunt end of a kodashi on her temple, instantly knocking the daylight out of her. Naruto saw the katana and unsealed his own Zanbato, the one Kurama gave him, and got into the Fox Fang Kenjutsu style. A style where you rely only on your smell, hearing, and touch, no V-zone at all. He heard his opponent charge at him to attempt a stab at his abdomen, so he parried, with his left hand, grabbed a kunai with his right, pushed Sasuke's sword back with said kunai, making his left hand free with his sword. The golden-haired swordsman then smacked the Uchiha with hilt of his sword in his stomach, then kicked him across the stadium. That was for trying to stab me. Naruto spoke as he walked closer to the raven-haired boy who was getting up from the rubble he had created, and this is from Kakashi-sensei for trying to kill me. Naruto stabbed his sword on the ground, made 7 hand seals that Sasuke easily recognized, and yelled the name of his jutsu, Demon Chidori Wave. Black lightning surged from Naruto's figure to Sasuke, instantly causing him to scream in pain. HTE fell onto his knees and got up to reveal his face. His face covered with the curse seal's markings. Now, I will kill you, Kakashi, and all you care about. When I'm done, I will make your mother and sister my personal toys and rule Uzushio and Konoha. Sasuke bragged. Naruto's sclera went pure sable, his eyes crimson, and a shroud of strange purplish chakra. Not the type of evil purple the curse seal had, but one with white, green, red, and golden. This shroud of chakra was chaotic, and from the end was 3 tails lashing out as if they were maniacs. The Kyuubi heard to what Sasuke said and told his container the most greatest thing in the history of spoken words, kick his A*s. The chakra continued to surround Naruto as he released his suppression, resistance, weight, and gravity seals. Sasuke, I thought of you as a friend, a brother. But you have proved me wrong. Don't you dare talk about my family, my people, or precious ones like that. Because, now I am going to kill you. Because now, I'm gonna kill you. Yelled the chaotic cloaked Uzumaki. He ran forward with intense speed and began his thrash. The first punch went his gut, then his left arm, right thigh, and lastly, went to his knee, causing the Uchiha slump down. As he did, Naruto grabbed his head and slammed it down on his knee. Blood began to pour from Sasuke's nose, signifying it was broken. Naruto jumped into the air and did an aerial axe kick to his face, launching him back to the same part of the stadium he first crashed into. Cough cough, ninja art. Semi-clone cough, Sasuke raspily spoke as he made hand signs and 15 figures from the blood appeared and formed into Sasuke. Naruto realized what the jutsu was, so this is a knockoff of my blood clone jutsu, but doesn't need any demon chakra. And judging from the chakra signatures, these clones can't do any ninjutsu or genjutsu. Only kenjutsu and taijutsu. The clones grabbed their own swords, surrounded Naruto, and charged at him. He stood there and told Sasuke something that would make him hate Naruto even more. You know, during my time here, Kakashi-sensei taught me. He taught me a lot of things. So, returned HTE favor and created 4 new moves based off of the original jutsu. And I taught him the 2 he was physically able to learn. I call it dual demon Reikiri. This is for you, Kakashi-sensei. The blonde made the same hand seals for Reikiri but didn't clutch his arm like usual, instead he kept them apart and black lightning with a white glow surrounded his hands. Did you teach him that, Kakashi? Kurenai asked her associate in the stands. No, I actually taught him Chidori and Reikiri. He created dual Chidori and dual Reikiri on his own and taught it to me. Kakashi spoke with such amazement, his usual lazy eyes were wide at the match. The fact he went even further with altering his already improved version of my jutsus is remarkable. All of the Sasuke's face changed to jealous and angry. Naruto noted that the original and clones were connected. If they could feel emotions, maybe they could feel the pain. The blonde began to grin evilly at the possibilities. Maybe he could get to test out the jutsu that weirdo in the orange suit and crazy black hair taught him. As the clones ran at him, he jumped up and started to pounce on them. After 2 pounces, they jumped in the sky and landed down on the first victim. As soon as he did, all of the clones simultaneously yelled in pain. He continued to stab them with his hands as if they were daggers, until there were 4 left. By then his jutsu deactivated, and he began his next jutsu. He started to concentrate wind chakra onto his hands that were clasped together. As a small ball of energy similar to the Rasengan started to form in his hands, he slowly unclasped his hands. Albinunicorn, this is for you, buddy. The clones ran at him in a line to overwhelm him, but then Naruto used his jutsu, thank you old man Goku, Rasenhameha. The sphere of energy was concentrated into a beam of destruction. It was 30 centimeters wide and long, in the form of a circle. The jutsu literally decimated the clones at contact. Naruto finally walked to Sasuke, who was unarmed, and spoke, "That's right, demon. Kill the last member of the greatest clan of Konoha. Like you did 16 years ago. Kill me like you killed the Yondaime." In the crowd, Minato in disguise crushed the metal with his bare hands in anger, railing after listening to Sasuke saying that Naruto was demon and killed him in the village during that night. "Come on, Naruto. I know you have more under your sleeves, my son. Show them what you are really capable of. You think I attacked the village I called my home until it tried to kill me?" Naruto yelled until he realized the plan a certain ex-Anbu told him. "You don't even know what really happened that night, do you?" "What are you talking about?" Sasuke asked with extreme confusion. "Just shut up and focus on your thoughts, everyone in the crowd too." The blonde yelled with a booming voice, "Ninja art, neural remembrance." Suddenly the memories flooded them as if they were their own. "Well, what do you think, audience?" Naruto yelled at the crowd. Most of the ninjas were disgusted with the mighty Uchiha clan, the clan that plotted in the shadows to kill all of them. And were saddened and proud of the sacrifice Itachi Uchiha made for the village. He killed his clan, his friends, his parents, all for the welfare of the village. That is bullshit. Itachi was a monster. He killed my clan, the clan that should have rightfully done as they pleased. We were Uchihas, we are gods, we are meant to rule. Sasuke yelled, which made the audience hate him more and more. Naruto just scoffed. Some gods, easily defeated by a mortal human. "Shut up, at least my mother wasn't a whore." Sasuke yelled, but starting shaking, choking from all of the ki directed at him. "So what do you think? Should I spare the life of a traitor or punish him for his sins?" The chaotic blonde asked the crowd. All of which screamed for bloody murder, with an exception of Konoha's civilians, Civilian Council, Kaharu, and Homura. Konoha, say goodbye to the Sharingan and the Uchiha clan. Naruto made hand seals for a jutsu Kurama just told him, chaos style, chains of the Sind, pure black chains came out of the ground and attached to Sasuke's arms. They began to pull him down to where he was on his knees and his arms were extended outwards. Suddenly, the chains started to burn Sasuke. Then Naruto informed Sasuke about the chains. According to the Kyuubi, these chains only burn those with an evil heart. The Jinchuriki unsealed demons bane and sent chakra to them, causing black fire to light up on each blade. "Don't worry, this won't kill you." He shoved first katana into Sasuke's left eye at certain lengths so it wouldn't reach his brain. Sasuke yelled in intense pain, then increased as the sword's fire activated. The Uzumaki repeated to do so for his right eye, chaos style, Hell's Fist. The blonde's hand was covered with a crimson flame, and stabbed the ground melted into lava. This showed the crowd how hot the flame was. "This is for what you said about Okawa-san and Imouto." Then he instantly punched Sasuke where the sun doesn't shine. Everyone heard the screams of agony, happiness for us, as Sasuke's balls and melted in goop that melted straight through the earth and dirt it fell on. The civilian council could only watch as the Uchiha clan could never be reproduced or clones. Masami watched in amazement as her brother easily beat the person that almost killed her. "Is this how you have felt all this time, Onisan?" Minato couldn't be prouder as his son defended his family's honor and name with such pride and strength. That and Fugaku was a jerk in the academy. He almost killed Kushina when they were Chunin just because she was poisoned and considered her a liability. Naruto's current teammates, ex-teammates, and girlfriend could barely look at the intense scene in front of them. It wasn't disturbing, it was a bit demonic. But considering all Sasuke did to them, Naruto, and Konoha, not to mention the fact he said he would defile his mother and sister, the bastard deserved it. Kurama was so full of happiness and pleasure, he could almost wank to it. But Naruto's anger towards Sasuke grew as he did his trademark jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. 6 clones poofed into existence. The first 2 ran at him and formed regular Rasengans and each hit Sasuke on the left and right side of his torso. "Happy I didn't add more chakra and shove it through your heart? Well, don't get too comfortable, because you have 12 seconds to live." The 4 clones left and the original formed Rasen Shurikens. "Goodbye, bastard." All of the clones would have thrown the Rasen shurikens at the chained Uchiha until all of the clones were slashed by his swords. And at the end of the sword was Orochimaru. Kukukuku, do you really think I would let you kill my Sasuke-kun? I have an idea. How about you join me and I give you the Sharingan from the Uchiha DNA? How about I just stick a demon Rasengan up your ass? Because if I am joining you, then you are most likely high. Naruto unsealed Soul's judgment from the seal on his back, Daipedo. Naruto ran at him with his claymore tilted 90 degrees to the right and with single slice Orochimaru, splashed into mud. To the crowd, it was all a single blur. Damn snake always gets away. He's most likely here. You are right about one thing, Kit. He gets away. Well, this is the last time. Finish this punk, then hunt a snake, the giant fox spoke. Alright Tem, you had 15 extra seconds. Anything else to say? The blonde requested in an annoyed voice. Sasuke grinned and replied, cough cough cough, well I'll see yo. He was slapped by the blonde who just gave him a, too bad, face. The Uzumaki made a new Rasen shuriken, but this was made of chaotic chakra, just like his cloak. Say hi to Orochimaru in hell for me, because he is next, chaos style, chaotic Rasen Shurikien. The Jinchuriki threw the purple shuriken at Sasuke, who screamed his final voice of agony. The Uchiha clan was no more. Genma came back from the snack bar and announced the winner by death, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The crowd began to cheer like the cure for cancer was found or Kim Jong-un died of cancer. Now all that's left is either protecting Konoha from a possible invasion while Orochimaru tries to escape or teleporting all of the allied nin out of the area, killing all of the sound and root nin by transforming into my night form, and destroying Konoha. I know, I'll pick Kurama. I think it's time Otu-san, Okawa-san, Masami-chan, Ero Kenshi and I show Konoha to never mess with family. I'll meet up with Okawa-san, Otu-san, and Ero Kenshi so I can tell them about our second plan and that I will set up the barrier jutsu. Naruto mentally discussed with Kurama, who agreed and requested him to use both summoning contracts. Said blonde met up with Kenshin to discuss about their second version of the plan, so 4 of my Kyuubi clones will use my specialized barrier jutsu. After that, 50 other clones will teleport our allies out of the village. Then my foxes and your dragons will attack the root nin. Have our spies explain to the innocent Konoha citizens about what is about to occur. Kenshin nodded and replied, yes, I also told Tsunade, Kakashi, Asuma, Iruka, Kurenai, Gai, Anko, Ibiki, Yugo, Shibi, Inoichi, Chozo, and Hiyashi. All of which agreed and informed their students' children. They left after your match. I'll go inform your mother, father, and sister while you teleport the allies out and make the barrier. Also, the regular Anbu have been ordered stand down, so only root Anbu and hostile Konoha and sound nin will attack you and the others. Good luck. Okay. Kyuubi clone jutsu. 54 Narutos with a red chakra cloak and 2 tails appeared and he told them the directive. I need you 4 to create the black dragon scale barrier, while the other 50 should use the flying thunder god jutsu to teleport all non-Konoha nin and citizens out of the village. I took the liberty of planting tags in the east and north forest. Have them meet up there and explain. The Raikage, Hokage, and Kazekage will be there. Do not attack the Hokage, or anyone with Kenshin, identify him with his sword scent. Got it. All of the clones said, yes, boss. Naruto told them good luck as they left. In less than 30 seconds, large black walls of chakra started to surround the village and soon sealed, clarifying they were trapped. Then the 50 clones repeatedly teleported in and out to secure the allies and their leaders. Root Anbu shushined attempting to stop the clones, but Naruto began to fight them. Minato took of his cloak to reveal high-souled outfit, except that his cloak was black with blue flames, the kanji on his back said, bloody flash, and a 6-foot katana in his hand. One of the civilians spoke up, Yondaime-sama has returned to kill the demon and save us. That same villager was decapitated, as Minato replied, I am not here to save you. Because I am here to help my son get revenge for what you bastards did to him while I was dead. You wanna see a demon? Well, you now have 2 to deal with. Minato started to teleport faster than Naruto's clones in order to continuously kill them with either his katana or that occasional lightning or wind jutsu. Kushina got up and told the cages it was her turn to help her son, while the remaining leaders were teleported. She released the transformation jutsu to reveal her shinobi outfit that consisted of black pants, a black long-sleeved shirt with a vest containing multiple scrolls on her hip, steel arm guards on each arm, and 2 katanas on her back. Look at my profile for a pic, but just add an extra sword and scrolls on her hips. She unsealed the scroll to reveal a large reverse summoning seal. Kushina bit her thumb and wiped the blood across the seal. Suddenly 400 Uzushio Nin appeared from the smoke. Uzushio Nin, you have been chosen me because of your skills. Together, we will aid my children, husband, and brother in the destruction of Konoha for their past sins. If I lead you into battle, will you give us your best? All of the Nin cheered as they agreed and charged. Miniature cyclones and waves drowned, blades cut through flesh like butter. All of them gave it their all, little did they of what to expect 15 minutes later. The non-Konoha audience was rapidly teleported by flashed of red, black, and yellow. Hey, what happened? Where are we? What about the final match? Many of the non-Konoha audience were asking each other aloud. Tsunade walked up, and said, quiet. Everyone shut up. Now that everyone is done, Naruto has teleported all non-Konoha shinobi and villagers along with some shinobi and villagers that respected and didn't hurt him out of the village in the forests. You may be asking why. It is because Konoha will be destroyed in the next 2 hours by Minato Namikaze, Kushina Uzumaki, Kenshin Uzumaki, Masami Uzumaki Namikaze, and Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. All of the refugees were shocked. Not only was Konoha's ex-shinboy destroy his former village with his family, but Minato Namikaze was alive. Gaara saw this and spoke up, yes, he is alive. But most must be thinking why Konoha will be destroyed. Well, the village that Naruto grew up in abused him 24/7 ever since he was born. When was conceived, the Kyuubi was sealed into and the villagers considered him a demon and tortured him. People of the Sand Village, he has suffered a fate greater than me but remained pure. I wish you to seek the justice in his actions. All of the visitors understood, but it was the Sand Village more than the others that did. Their leader grew up in great anger and sorrow and turned out to be a psychopath. But the same abused Jinchuriki was always positive, loving, and caring. He even changed Gaara into the person he was today. Once all of the teleportees were settled down, they watched as Konoha fell. Masami was already killing villagers and Jonin. Soon, the young Uzumaki found herself at the orphanage, so she found the nearest clone to take away the orphans, leaving her with the woman who took care of them. The woman who tortured Naruto. The woman who kicked her out of the orphanage when he was 5 years old. Masami grinned evilly as her chakra shark slowly mauled her. She had never felt better, until she found a pink-haired T hiding in an alley. It was chaos. Then Naruto's chaos cloak appeared and his sclera went black, and his irises red, summoning jutsu. An army of 70 foxes and 50 dragons poofed onto the buildings in attack. The fires began to burn homes and shops, while the foxes found hidden citizens and shredded them. Even with so many soldiers and summons, it would take 3 hours maximum to destroy Konoha. After all, Naruto wanted to do it slowly, just like the way they killed him every day of his childhood. After 14 minutes of the continued massacre, the civilian council was underground panicking, especially Mebuki Haruno. I told you we should have killed that demon as soon as he was 3. He was vulnerable and so easy to kill with any poison. But of course you didn't agree with me. Danzo interjected. No, shut up. He should have been in my root program. He could have been Konoha's greatest weapon. A hole crashed, and from it came a figure. That figure was Minato, and as soon as Mebuki saw him, she ran to him. Namikaze-kun, you are back to save me. She squealed. Once she came 3 inches in front of Minato, he stabbed her 5 times with a root kodashi he found. The remaining council, Danzo, Homura, and Kaharu, were taken aback and left in shock of what their 4th Hokage had done. Do you know what you just did? Demanded Kaharu with a hint of fear in her voice. Minato just scoffed and replied, yes, I rid the world of a child abuser and am about to do the same to a bunch of corrupted bastards and bitches. Minato ran at them only to be stopped by his son, who suggested, how about we do this together? Minato grinned. Both grabbed a katana and dashed forward, Devil's Sink. They both spoke in perfect harmony as their victims were diced. All but Danzo, who jumped and shushined, which pissed Minato off. Don't worry, Otu-san, we'll get him and Orochimaru. Minato nodded and asked Naruto something important. You Masami and Kenshin have night pacts, right? Naruto nodded. Well, you, Masami, Kenshin, Kushina, and I will destroy Konoha in our night forms. Naruto grinned instantly and sent 3 messenger foxes to tell High Sister, Mother, and Uncle where to meet up. Once they did, Minato released the blood seal on his palm to reveal a mask, and Kushina unsealed an ornate bow from a scroll. Both made their pact at the same time. Made his pact. O Adalmaya, shining sovereign, supreme light of the ancient skies, grant me your power. O Luthia, argent goddess and beacon in the ancient night, grant me your power. Minato put on his mask. Kushina shot an arrow of energy at the sky. Kenshin struck the dagger inside his gauntlet. Masami twirled her sword until the wings detached, and Naruto threw his belt, which attached to his waist. All of them yelled, Verto. Each member of the family had their own rune circle. Kenshin turned into his Weisel form with ornate white and blue armor, a blue cape, and a large sword and shield. Masami transformed into a female armored knight. She had some curves to her figure, a long lance with a blade at the end, and black wings. Minato's form was somewhat centurion-like Weisel. His armor was all gold. He carried a staff with a blade coming out of each end, and each shoulder piece had a cape that connected. Kushina turned into a female knight with metallic curves, punk and light purple armor, an ornate silver bow, and flowing white hair. Knights, attack, Minato said in his ancient echo voice. Kushina was on top of buildings shooting energy arrows at buildings and villagers. Minato was using his heat powers to melt and disintegrate everything to ash. Masami created tendrils from darkness to strangle along with slating and spearing. Kenshin and Naruto were both on the ground unleashing their bladed fury upon Konoha. Hey Otou-san, how is it like to be back as a knight? Naruto asked his formerly dead father. Minato laughed and truthfully said, ha 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 ha, I've actually only done my knight form twice. Both in war, then I learned the dangers of others finding it out and stopped. He melted 5 building during his little info. Kushina spoke up, but we still kicked Major as S. Naruto laughed at his mother's comedic side, and his father's logical, well enough talk, let's continue. I couldn't agree more Sochi, Kushina replied. The attack started at 3:30 p.m. and ended at 5:10 p.m. The greatest village in the shinobi was destroyed in less than 2 hours. In the end, only 2 relative things remained, the Hokage Mountain Monument and Sakura Haruno. Naruto and Masami were sitting on the Hokage Monument gazing into the sunset. Naruto was looking more at HTE damage that Konoha deserved, while Masami rested her head on her brother's shoulder. She was tired, he was tired, all of the invaders were tired, happy but tired, so what is next Oni-san? Naruto grinned and let out a small chuckle. Otu-san and I will visit Danzo and Orochimaru in the Hidden Sound Village. I want to take care of some personal business and get revenge on Orochimaru for killing Gigi 3 years ago. In 2 days, it will be his death anniversary, and what is a better way than killing the person for the reason of his death? Okay, so what will you do tomorrow? Masami inquired her twin, who simply replied, celebrate. Cheering, food, laughing, games, jokes, stories. All of these could easily be found at Uzushio's Festival of the Fallen held in honor of the Uzumaki Namikaze family. Sand, mist, and cloud villagers and shinobi all came to attend the festival. Some for the famous ramen and food by the new Ichiraku, some for the amazing view and sightseeing in the land, and some just to be happy. All in all, there was not a single attendee nor host that was mad, angry, or unhappy. Children ran around laughing, playing games at the stands. Adults stood watching said children and enjoying each other's company. The elite shinobi told others of the fall of Konoha and how the Uzumaki Namikaze family turned into giant powerful beings right after single-handedly destroying portions of Konoha while fighting off its own shinobi. Veterans told stories of wars and battles fought in their prime. Some men even proposed to their sweethearts. It was a time of love, compassion, and glory. Naruto was wearing a silk black blazer, with a red dress shirt, black shoes, wild hair flowing with his red streaks, and black dress pants. Others had a good amount of daily compassion. But for Naruto, it was a bit too much love. Many daughters of rich merchants, ambassadors, and leaders kept asking Naruto to go on a date, become his girlfriend, become his fiancé, or even bear his children. They want you for the glory and fame, know the man. Plus, Hinata would be heartbroken. Kit, these vixens are starting to annoy me. And I am not even you, just use my fire element to scare them and add chakra to your voice. Kurama spoke with a grumpy voice. That's right, 12 hours ago, Naruto had 100% control over his tenant's chakra, which gave him a fire form of sorts. Flames basically covered him and he had godly control over anything with heat. Naruto thought it was a good idea and activated it. Crimson and golden flames surrounded him and became part of his suit. The side edge of each eye grew a small flame and started to flicker as a white fire. Stop, now. Naruto said in a firm voice that got their attention. The girls started to back away until a torrent of water came upon him and caused his chakra control to mess up, causing the flames to deactivate. Naruto looked in the direction of water and saw Masami wearing a tight white dress smirking and giving him the victory sign. Damn it, Naruto mentally cursed, until he noticed the lustful gleams directed at him. Kit, run, the giant fox instructed and Naruto listened. Even though Naruto was above cage level in skill, his suit was expensive and he didn't want to rip it, so he was running like a normal person. It wasn't until 20 minutes later and at the great whirlpool fountain he met Hinata wearing a blue dress with the front of her right skirt leg cut for fashion purposes. Naruto-kun, who are they? She spoke in that sweet sour voice that screamed bloody murder. Oh. About that. They are kinda chasing me and I need your help getting them away, Naruto quickly and nervously spoke. All Hinata did was give the girls a stare with her Byakugan and coldly informed, he is mine, harlots. Back off. The girls instantly ran with their tails between their legs, leaving Naruto with Hinata glaring at him, hey don't blame me. I'm just casually walking and saying, hi, and then Tehi are constantly annoying me about me marrying them, the blonde attempted to explain. Well you better not, Hinata said and then went into cute mode, what would happen to me? Naruto just smiled at her antics, nothing will happen to you, I will make sure of it. Now shall we continue? He asked as he grabbed her waist and the couple continued to walk around. After shaking 68 hands, the couple went to sit at a nearby cafe. Hinata ordered the pumpkin spice and Naruto ordered a cafe mocha. Both of their drinks came in 2 minutes and the blonde started the small talk, look at us. 16, just destroyed a village, dressed like it's a wedding, and drinking coffee. How did we get here? If I was Shino-san I would say, Henge Logkali, Uzushio planned a festival and I am your date. So after greeting so many people, we chose to get coffee, Henge and Hinata spoke while turning into Shino for the effect. Ha ha ha, that's a good one. So Hinata, I will be out of the village for a day or two starting tomorrow. I want to tell you in advance so you won't get worried or anything, Naruto laughed and told her, who nodded. They finished their drinks, Naruto paid the bill, and left. They continued to walk, until the Jinchuriki asked his girlfriend, so what is your favorite part about the festival? I like the happiness and joy it brings. It reminds me of my mother, the lavender Hyuga answered truthfully. Then Naruto spoke his answer, I like being with you to enjoy it with. Their faces grew near, until their noses were inches apart, they stared into each other's eyes, and joined their lips. It was their second kiss. But unlike the last one, this wasn't rushed nor partially one-sided. Both of them returned and continued to until they needed to come up for air, so I will see you in the morning, right Naruto-kun? Hinata asked her boyfriend. He nodded and replied, anything for you, Hinata-chan. 6:15 a.m. Naruto was doing his normal morning routine. 10-mile run, 250 push-ups, 300 crunches, shadow clone sparring, Kenjutsu Kata practice, etc. He continued to until it was 9:40, so he went home to take a shower and discussed with Kurama about how Danzo and Orochimaru escaped his barrier. Personally I think it was a Shushin boosted by an amplification seal, the Nine Tails offered. No, Naruto shook his head, an AP amplification seal requires a level 3 minimum seal master, and Konoha has only had 5. Ero Sennin, Tsurujiji, Shadaime-sama, and my father. Whom all are deceased. So it is most likely an earth jutsu. Orochimaru does specialize in them and is partnered with Danzo. Danzo could have shushined short range, ran to Orochimaru, and burrowed a tunnel with him. The Kyuubi scoffed at his error. Either way, the sound will become ashes, Danzo a pile of bandages, and Orochimaru, carbon in the air. Naruto grinned as he dried his hair and put on his battle uniform with his scratched Konoha headband. So can I summon you to fight Danzo? He continued. You better, or else I am taking away your fox contract. Kurama yelled in his head. Damn, fine. No need to get your fur in a knot. The Biju started an verbal assault on Naruto, who simply cut their mind-link connection, so he could go to the village gate peacefully. Once he got there, Hinata, Masami, Kushina, Minato, and Kenshin were standing. Are you sure you want to do this, Sochi? I'm with Kushina on this, Naruto. I mean, you will take on all of the Sound Village, Danzo, and Orochimaru alone. Kenshin also spoke. Naruto shook his head. I won't be alone. I have Kurama, he cryptically spoke. None of them understood. It could have meant he would summon the Kyuubi on the Sound Village, let Kurama possess him, or even take his final form. What about innocent lives? Masami asked her twin. I sent a message to the Sound, that if they want to live, they would need to leave the village. So hopefully, innocent casualties are decreased as possible. The blonde answered. I have to go, I'll be back in one day. Masami hugged Naruto and gave him a kiss on his forehead. Hinata gave him a passionate kiss on his lips and told him, you better be back in a day. He nodded, activated his crimson speed seal and ran off in red lightning. Little did Naruto know, he reached past Mach 2 in 16 seconds. Kit, calm down a bit. You might accidentally time travel, the fox warned him. Naruto heeded the alert and continued until he saw the Sound Village's gates 2 kilometers with his keen vision. Instead of decreasing his speed and stopping, he rushed forward, increasing, lightning style, starburst bullet. White chakra and red lightning emitted from Naruto's body as he crashed through the 1.5-foot gate, causing the metal to melt and shape an outline of his body. Hello. H simply spoke as Shinobi rushed at him. He unsealed Demon's Bane, grabbed a Kodashi and put said Kodashi in his mouth. His attackers were a bit hesitant of his sword style but continued their attempted assault. As one tried to stab the Jinchuriki, Naruto flip-kicked him so he fell face first onto the ground. Once he was flat, Naruto landed on Shi hands, except it was his katana that pierced the enemy shinobi's body. The second was foolish enough to engage Kenjutsu. Naruto sliced his arms off, buried his katanas in the Sound Chunin's feet, anchoring him and reducing his mobility completely. Once immobile, Naruto spiral spun and whipped his head at him. This caused the Kodashi in his mouth to dig deep into the Chunin's throat. To make it worse, the blonde jerked his head the opposite way. That single movement lacerated his throat. Blood poured from all over upper face. Check my profile for a vivid image of his face during this. WW what the H hell or YU? A Jonin yelled as he saw his comrade's throat be ripped open for blood to spray out like a gusher. Naruto spit out the Kodashi and answered, someone who has had enough. Wind style. Great breakthrough. A massive shockwave sent 20 Sound Shinobi flying back as they approached. You think it's time, old friend? Hell yes. Naruto unsealed Soul's Judgment, struck it into the ground, made dozens of hand seals, and yelled his jutsu, by the bloodshed of my enemies, I summon the Kyuubi no Yoko. A huge spark of energy and light blinded everything, until it faded. And once it did, a large, red, demonic fox could be seen, a fox with 9 tails which spoke, hello Sound Village, my name is the Kyuubi. The large amount of Ki directed at all of the Shinbi caused them to freeze or asphyxiate. Some even died from the lack of oxygen due to their will of live. Veteran Shinobi went into cardiac arrest. Just as it couldn't get any worse, Naruto turned into a second Kyuubi. But this one was made purely out of yellow chakra with black seal markings. Inside the beast was Naruto, glowing with the same chakra, a cloak of chakra, the same black seals, and his whiskers thickened into black lines. Everyone fall attack, a Jonin officer announced. Most of the Sound Shinobi attacked, but around 128 stood still. Amarzu, Retabi, Aoze, what are you and the others doing? The officer suddenly found. Aoze, with a kunai in his throat, and released his henge revealing a shadow clone of Naruto. The other 127 attacked other sound shinobi and released their henges too. Earth style. Great Gaia barrier. 15 sound Chunin yelled, creating a think dome of rock around the area that the clones and Kyubis had not yet invaded. Naruto and Kurama grinned once they saw this, even though several shinobi were throwing kunai at them. The duo swung their 9 tails, swiping all of the enemines in a 70 feet radius. You ready, Naruto? Kurama asked with delight. You bet. The blonde teen answered as his Kyubi cloak's mouth opened and put his arms up vertically to focus large amounts of chakra. Kurama just opened his jaws to do the same. Colossal spheres of both dark and regular chakra formed into a purplish shade. Kurama ate his sphere and Naruto pulled his hands back, similar to a Kamehameha style. As the Jinchuriki pushed the sphere, Kurama expelled it from his mouth. Both Biju and container created a giant stream of energy to be directed at the Earth Dome. Whereas Naruto's destroyed the sphere, Kurama's destroyed all of the buildings, shinobi, and homes. By the time the village was destroyed, the clones had killed all of the sound nin and poofed out of existence. Both detecting 2 strong chakra signatures, they punched HTE ground in their Kyubi form. This revealed both Danzo and Orochimaru, who had selfishly hid underground as his loyal shinobi's lives had been lost. Ku, you have grown very strong, Naruto-kun, the snake Sanin spoke. If only you were in my root program, you could have been great, Danzo interjected. Naruto's cloak started to fade by his will. In seconds he returned to his regular shinobi clothes. I'm alright, thank you very much, mummy. And to answer you, pedo, if you push me hard enough, I will backlash harder on my enemies than you can even imagine. Especially if they have tortured me for 13 years and kept my family from me. He started to tightly close his hands, and his eyes grew dark and evil. Now, I am here to avenge Tsurujiji and finish what he and Ba-chan started 3 years ago. Danzo just laughed. Do you honestly think that an ordinary child can take on the both of us alone? First of all, you of all people should know I am not ordinary. Second, I never have been alone. Naruto yelled. Suddenly a figure dropped from the sky. The figure was Minato, but his hair was red with black highlights, his eyes were crimson and slit, he had 9 red tails behind him, a black and red claymore on his back, a black cloak with red flames, and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Danzo, huh? Well, you've wanted my power for over 15 years, and now you will get it at full blast. Danzo found intense ki being directed at him. It's like was, well, demonic. Who are you? I know you aren't Minato Namikaze. The figure chuckled and replied, at least age hasn't rotted your brain. My name is Kurama Namikaze, but you know me as the Kyubi. Danzo's face went pale as paper. Orochimaru was an exception because he was already pale as fuck. Naruto grinned at this and informed, surprise. Now, it is time for long-needed justice. Just as promised, the following scene is of the torturing of Sakura, and is rated M. If you do not want to read this gory-ish scene with some severe language, skip down to the until you see bold, caps letters. Reader's discretion is advised. Also, this next portion Idaho 3 hours prior to Uzushi's festival. Today was just not Sakura's day. Naruto had severely kicked Sasuke's and killed him, Uzushio had invaded Konoha, the Yondaime had helped destroy her home, and she had been captured by Naruto's twin sister. She was currently tied up to an iron chair with duct tape covering her mouth and cloth sack over her head. Suddenly Naruto and Masami walked into the dark room she was held in. Hello Sue, Masami insulted as she closed the door. So Miss Haruno, how are we today? A bit disappointed and very sad that you will never be Mrs. Uchiha or have any little Uchiha. Naruto taunted as he took off the sack, ripped of the tape on her mouth and made a silencing seal. Once her mouth and head was free, she yelled at the 2 Uzumakis, Naruto, once I get out of here, I swear I will. Will what huh? Hit me on the head again for no reason. Slap me or call me annoying for helping you. Or beat me to a pulp like your whore of a mother did to me ever since I was born. Naruto backlashed and interrupted. Masami slapped Sakura with the back of her hand. How dare you attempt to threaten my brother? You want a little taste of the horrors he faced before he could even speak. Here you go. Naruto placed a metal grill on her bare feet and coals underneath the grill. No, 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 please don't do this. Fire style. Flare, a small ember lit on the coal. Due to the coal being coated in oil, the flames shot up to her shins. Ragged burns and burned flesh covered her feet. Sakura's lower skin started to slowly melt into nothing. The fire caused her to scream intensely. But no one heard because of Naruto's silencing seal. The female Uzumaki made a small water jutsu to expel the fire. Even after the fire on her feet, Teehee grill still conducted heat and burned what was left of them. The Haruno yelled with agony and pain to what was happening to her. Shut the fuck up. Naruto yelled, you always spent money on your nails, skin, and hair. Shall we test how durable the air? Naruto's fingers turned into claws, chorusty of Kurama, and he used them to make small, deep laceration on every centimeter of Sakura's skin. Whereas Masami jabbed Sakura's nails with a kunai, then pushed it back so he nails here ripped off her fingers. Blood poured from the top base of her fingers like a faucet. But it was nothing compared to the cuts on her skin. A constant flow of red that covered her entire body. Just when the pink-haired Kunoichi thought it couldn't get any worse, Masami pushed several senbon through her lips csuing her to limit movement and decrease chances of her to scream. Will that shut up your screams? Naruto asked, not expecting an answer. Do you want to finish this, Nisan? Masami comically asked his puppy eyes and Naruto answered, thank you, Imouto. Said blonde unsealed his katana and activated it with his chakra, casing the blade to be covered with a black flame. Goodbye Sakura-chan, Naruto spoke with venom and put his blade on Sakura's hair. The girl's pink hair was covered with black flames that first burned off her hair, and then continued down her body. Both of the Uzumakis left the room as soon as the flame started, to let her die alone painfully. After the day he left to destroy the Sound Village, there was another person with him. A man of Kenshin's height but Minato's appearance. His hair was blood red with black streaks, his eyes crimson slits, and his teeth resembled fangs of an animal. The person wore a black shirt, pants, and red coat with black flames. Kushina, Minato, Masami, and Kenshin could tell he was friendly by the Uzushio headband loosely hanging around his neck and the imprint of the symbol on the metal plates of his gloves. The two arrived with Naruto's crimson speed seal, while Naruto's was red lightning, the other's was black. We are back, the teenager happily announced slightly weakly. He then fell over and passed out, but was caught by the mysterious person. He had quite the fight with Orochimaru and Manda. I'm guessing some bruises, chakra exhaustion, physical exhaustion, and cuts, as supported Naruto by putting the boy's arm around his neck causing the blonde to lean on him. He put his hand out to greet them with a grin. My name is Kurama Namikaze or as some know me, the Kyuubi no Yoko. They were astonished at this. How, when? Minato stammered out. The genius prodigy was at a loss of logical words. First we should get him to the hospital for rest and a checkup, then I can explain. Quote. Kurama explained as they all shushed to the hospital. A few minutes later, they all sat in the room allowing the demonic person to explain. Up until a few weeks ago, I was dying. When a Jinchuriki master control over their demon's chakra to a certain extent, their chakra and soul combine with the host. In a matter of days I would have been but a memory. Being your son, brother, and nephew, smiles at the four people, who smile back, he saved me by sealing my soul within Soul Redeemer. As you know, a half of my chakra was sealed within Minato-san. When he was resurrected, Naruto extracted it from him and used his genetics to create a sort of clone body for me, which is why I look like him. Where's the ramen? A voice weakly spoke. They looked to the side to see Naruto conscious and smiling. Kurama walked up to him and ruffled his hair. Good to see you alive, Kit. Oh, and a certain Hyuga is here to see you. He moved to the side to reveal Hinata, who tackled Naruto. Where have you been? It's been almost 2 days. I was so worried, she innocently asked while unintentionally choking Naruto with love. Can't breathe. Kurama. Help, he said. The demon hybrid just smiled and took several steps back. From experience, it's not good to mess with a vixen who is worried to death with her mate. The Hyuga eventually let go, and you forgot something. Happy birthday, Naruto-kun. Every single on of his friends popped out of nowhere with party hats. Minato set up seals to streamers erupted out randomly and a banner was placed over Naruto which read, "Happy Birthday Naruto." The party went on with coconut cake, music, dancing, and a lot of celebration. It ended at 9 o'clock. Needless to say, peace was present. 3 years later, after 10 months of Oto's destruction, Akatsuki made their move to invade and capture Naruto, still thinking he was a Jinchuriki. But unexpected, Itachi joined within Uzushio's ranks and helped them fight against his old organization. The few members were overwhelmed by the large amount of shinobi and didn't even last 30 minutes. Naruto proposed to Hinata after his fight with Pain. The two were married 8 months later. The usual canon pairings followed, just minus Sakura and Sasuke. Masami met a boy from the hidden village of shadows on a mission and the two engaged after several dates, but Naruto did threaten him if he ever did hurt Masami. Surprisingly, Kurama and Kurenai showed an interest in each other after Asuma's death in the final battle against Akatsuki. Naruto walked in on him sleeping with the ex-Anbu one morning and took several pictures to annoy him. They are expecting twins due in several weeks. Speaking of surprising pairs, Sayu and Ryu actually were married with Naruto and Hinata, along with Ikaru and Tayamo. It feels quiet, an older Naruto spoke. Hinata walked to his side. Of course it is. There is no current threat for us to face thanks to you. No, thanks to everyone. My father and mother lost their lives protecting our generation and securing its future, and I am ready to do the same. He put his hand on Hinata's stomach. Our generation is over, and the next one begins soon. New threats, bonds, and possibilities. Star Wars. Clone Wars outro. FYI, Naruto is 19 at the end of this story and Hinata is 18, so it's legal in current standards, even though shinobi are adults as soon as they receive their headband. I may be on hiatus for a bit, but I have most of the plot for the sequel. Along with 2 other story ideas. Thank you, and good night. Kurama, let's ambush the Sound Nin. Can you locate them? Naruto decided and asked. Kurama replied, just focus on your positive memories, and feel their negative emotions. After hearing this, Naruto closed his eyes and remembered all of his good memories, helping his sister, meeting his family, his mother's smile, discovering his heritage, his training with his family, the good times with his friends, Jiraiya's perverseness, Iruka and Tsunade's shinobi support, his kiss with Hinata, killing Sasuke, and many more. Then he concentrated. In mere seconds, he felt a pulses of darkness energy. It wasn't demonic, but rather evil. The pulses became waves and lit up their location similar to a sonar, the Dark Knight. The cell phone sonar tech Lucius Fox built. Check my profile for an image. It was the hidden tunnel under the Leaf Orphanage. Ironic. The place where it all began at the place the 4th great shinobi might occur. Naruto amusingly thought as he made shadow clones which quickly teleported to his sister, mother, father, and uncle. Kushina told the other cage, Masami told the remaining Konoha shinobi and Uzushio shinobi, Kenshin told the Junin and clan leaders, Minato just stayed silent. Each clone established a midlink between them. According to their location we have around 2 minutes. Otu-san, it's time to reveal yourself, Naruto informed. Minato replied, yes, how is the other half of Kurama's chakra and soul? Good, although my demonic chakra is more malicious now, I noticed when I killed Tem. We can discuss our powers later, first we focus on protecting the civilians. The other cage are requesting if their shinobi could help fight off the sound, Kushina told, I said yes, because we can't kill over 80,000 shinobi without destroying half of the village. Kenshin spoke up, I can ask Inoichi to inform all of the civilians and shinobi of what is to come. Okay, do that uncle. Otu-san and I will hold off the sound until reinforcements arrive with you, Masami, and Ka-san. Naruto replied, wait, why can't I go? I want to fight too. Masami asked. Because we will teleport the enemy into the valley 4 kilometers north from the village. And there will be a certain experimental jutsu that we don't want you to be injured from. It's easily AS rank and above if possible, the older Uzumaki sibling said to his sister, alright. Move out. Minato ripped off his disguise revealing a black cloak with blue flames, the kanji for, bloody flash on his cloak's back, a standard Uzushio Junin vest, gloves with metal plates, black pants, a Uzushio headband on his head, a slashed Konoha on his left arm, and a katana at his side. It's Yondaime-sama. He has returned. You think he's here to kill the demon? A multitude of civilians yelled out. The one with the demon comment found a kunai thrown millimeters away from his throat. Don't you ever say that about my son. Minato yelled as a warning, then flashed away. I'll be back in a flash, Hinata-chan. Love you, Naruto spoke. She was about to question him until he kissed her, which silenced the Hyuga. He suddenly teleported, leaving everyone to wonder until they heard Inoichi. People of the tournament, the sound is attempting to invade Konoha. Naruto and Minato Namikaze will teleport them to the valley, 4 kilometers north. The Raikage, Kazekage, and Hokage have agreed to join forces to prevent the invasion. If you are ranked Chunin, Junin, or Anbu and are above the age of 17, we request you fight alongside to protect Konoha. Those under the conditions with shinobi training will protect the village from stray enemy squadrons and personnel. So will you fight with us? The Yamanaka clan leader announced. Hi. Thousands of shinobi though in response as they too ran in groups to the valley. Naruto and Minato. The blonde duo had currently cleared all of the children and that damn owner lady, with moderate resistance. Nothing a silencing just you couldn't achieve. They went into the basement and discussed the plan. Okay Otou-san, once we intercept the invaders, you will set up my matter transference seals while I initiate them. Once activated, they will either be teleported, disintegrated, or some will not teleport. After all, it's only a prototype, Naruto told his father. I'm still proud of you no matter what, Minato complimented. You have accomplished milestones in weeks, which I couldn't in a lifetime. I look forward to a bowl of ramen, or 15, at Ichiraku's, my treat. Naruto hugged his dad. Thank you. He wiped the tears from his eyes. Now let's do this, air palm. A large stream of chakra destroyed a considerable amount of the floor, resulting it to collapse on several sound nin. The others were shocked. Now Tou-san. Naruto ordered. Minato spread the seals on the ground, and Naruto sent a large impulse on Yukai to his opponents. Too late, assholes, he weaved a half-tiger seal. Most of the sound shinobi were teleported. Minato was still there and could see some swords and armor surrounded by ash. Oh well, he too teleported with his flying thunder god. Once the elder Namikaze was there, he instantly saw 17, sliced, bleeding dead bodies, that boy with his sword. 4 Chunin ran at him to kill him. Minato unsheathed his katana and sliced the first one's head clean off his shoulders. One of the remaining made hand seals, earth style, pillar pierce. Spikes of rocks shot out of the ground attempting to skewer Minato, but he was too fast for them. Once the attack failed, Minato made hand seals of his own and yelled his jutsu, Spark Wave. A rush of golden lightning intercepted the 2 Chunin, and immobilized them. They were paralyzed, vulnerable, and dead. A single slice was all it took to end it. Minato rushed to Naruto's side. Both back-to-back slashing and performing lightning, fire, wind, and water jutsu. Of course, earth was one that they never could do, so how did the tags teleport these bastards and not me? The veteran Namikaze asked. Naruto quickly performed a demon Rasengan on a Junin, sending him flying back to his Ali's katana. Then Naruto answered Minato, the tag I made transports matter with demonic chakra. So I pulsed my chakra, coating it slightly on the sound nin. I made sure to avoid you because I didn't want to risk the disintegration possibility of your body being suited to resist anything related to demonic chakra. Because I was the largest source of demonic chakra, I was instantly teleported without any side effects. The ones in the back weren't so lucky. Once again, genius, Minato exclaimed. Both made 15 hand seals for a jutsu, wind style, vacuum shockwave. A rotation of wind circled around the two. As air was soused into the tornado, it was compressed and held. Until with was released as a strong shockwave. The large rush of compressed air almost crushed the bodies of their victims or snapped their necks from pressure. The first 3 rows were killed, the rest were unaffected or maimed. The remaining sound brought out their metal weapons, and Minato suggested an idea. We can still do that, you know. I know, Naruto answered, fire style, great dragon fire. Naruto inhaled, pushed chakra to his lungs, and breathed out a dragon made of fire. Its size was about 15 meters tall, and 6 meters thick. Once bursting with life, it dove down and back up into the ground. The damage effect was minimal with first and second degree burns. In fact, the sound nin started to get arrogant. That's it. Was that fire jutsu supposed to scare us? No, Naruto replied, but what is to come will, and it cannot be avoided, but barely blocked. All of the sound were confused. There was no jutsu like that. Minato saw their pathetic confusion and explained, look up. Tay fire heated the atmosphere creating cumulonimbus clouds, storms clouds. And because a lightning strike is 1/1000th of a second, it cannot be evaded. Minato and Naruto the same hand seals and yelled their jutsu, wind style, gale force wall. Wind once again started to rotate around them, but soon dissipated. No one realized what happened until someone threw a kunai at them. It was instantly knocked out, revealing a wind shield of sorts around the father and son. Lightning began to form and strike in the sky, thunder roared like a lion, and rain shot down like Senbon. This is my new lightning jutsu. One that uses real lightning, I call it. Naruto began to put his hand up to the sky. The clouds started to swirl as a giant fox made entirely of electricity formed and roared like the thunder of the storm itself. Kirin. The blonde teen brought his hand down and tightened his fist. In an instant the colossal beast dive bombed to the sound nin. Roaring in fury. The aftereffect was a giant crater surrounding the To Namakazes, bodies and limbs burned to crisp, and the enemy forces cut by half. That was awesome, Naruto exclaimed. Ow, what the hell? Minato hit Naruto on his head. Baka. You never said you were gonna use Kirin. Either way, there are only like 40,000 left, the Jinchuriki replied as he nursed his head. So can I go chaotic? Leave it to Naruto to be brash, then serious, then brash once again. The ex-Hokage chucked, knock yourself out, oh, and fully release your gravity and resistance seals. He grinned as he generated for Silver Dragon Chakra and released it. Come on Kurama, give me your all. Here's my all. The Nine Tails yelled as he sent Makra demonic energy to merge with his bloodline to form chaotic chakra. His smile was a demonic grin of fangs, his crimson-slitted eyes practically showed bloody murder, fingernails now claws. Around him was a reddish-purple fox cloak with 3 tails lashing out wildly, and his voice was one of Shinigami's. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. I am the guardian of Konoha and Uzushio, and you have pissed me off. What the hell are you? A Junin yelled. In a black flash, Naruto was right in front of him with a sword inside the Junin's chest. I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. I am the golden typhoon of blades. I am the crimson cyclone of hell. Naruto roared with intense fury as he charged at the army in front of him, not giving a single shit. The blonde teen slit his thumb with his index claw, then dragged the thumb across a hidden seal on his neck, summoning soul judgment, hacking, slashing, slicing, and tearing apart anything with a musical note in sight, demon style, blood mist. All of the dead bodies evaporated, forming a thick, scarlet mist that smelled of copper and iron. Most of the sound nin panicked due to their loss of visibility in sight and smell. 3 by 3, they were taken down. The increase in fresh blood thickened the mist and splashed upon Naruto as he smiled evilly. Check my profile for the evil Naruto image. Minato watched the carnage occur. Naruto, you are still you, right? The teenager stopped and went back to his father. His eyes returned to their normal amethyst blue. Oh shit. Sorry. Intense chaotic chakra increases makes me lose it sometimes. Only on my enemies though. Hate to be them, he explained. His eyes went back to their bloody red. He threw soul judgment in front of his father so he could pick it up, and he summoned Demon's Bane. Otu-san, do you still know two-sword Reikenjutsu? Once Minato grinned and picked up the claymore, so did Naruto. The two were back to back once again. Ready, Naruto? Hell yay. Both ran opposite ways and yelled their jutsu as their swords started to glow blue. Reikenjutsu, Heaven's twin fangs, they spoke in unison. Each sword bursted with electric blue energy that influxed endlessly. Once their blades made contact, each enemy's weapons attracted the lightning, creating an almost endless chain of electrocution to occur and kill the sound shinobi. With the bloody mist, it looked like lightsabers cutting through shadows in a crimson night. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Naruto shouted as the mist was pushed back and eventually faded. Naruto formed his trademark cross-hand seal and made 182 shadow clones. I'm not done yet. All of the Narutos attacked one person in groups of 3, Uzumaki, each clone said as they kicked their target in the sky, Naruto barrage. The clone that said, Uzu, kicked the target down, and the one that spoke, Ma, used a Rasengan to shred and kill the sound shinobi. Imagine that times 61, and you get what was currently happening. Multiple cries of, fire style, inferno flare, lightning style, electromagnetic massacre, wind style, severing cyclone, earth style, golem crush, water style, sea serpent rush. Many more ninjutsu were used. Naruto looked behind him to see reinforcements that consisted of his mother and uncle leading Uzushio, Konoha, Kumo, and Suna shinobi. Wind users were led by Tamari, fire users were led by Asuma, lightning users were led by a dark-skinned man with pale hair using black lightning, earth users were led by Kakashi, and water users were led by Masami. Naruto instantly ran to her, bisecting 4-sound nin, what the hell are you doing here? It's too dangerous. Ni-san, is that you? You look so feral. Naruto nodded and shrugged, it's not fair that you always protect our family. I want to fight to prove to you that you don't always have to protect me. Besides, your girlfriend is here. Not a bad speech, did you PLA? What? Hinata is here. Naruto yelled until her was tackled and almost stabbed the person until he smelled cinnamon rolls. Only one person smelled that strongly of them, Hinata. Why didn't you tell me that you were gonna fight? I was so worried when your mother told me, she spoke and continued until she was silenced by Naruto's lips. Shish, I'm here, I am fine, and I have to protect those that are precious to me, Naruto told her in a quiet voice. It was strange because they were having a love moment in the middle of a damn battle that was borderline war. Hinata hugged Naruto after his words, please let me stay. I want to fight with you, we all do, Hinata pointed to the left of them. Naruto looked to see his Konoha friends and Uzushio friends fighting against the sound with their senseis and other shinobi. Okay. Let's do this. Togather. Panic shook around the hospital as a gurney was urgently rushed to the OR. Following the gurney was a woman with pure red hair, a teen with red hair and blonde tips, a man with red hair and facial scars, and another man with blonde hair. All of them covered in blood. The woman and girl were crying profusely and the men were intensely angered and ensorrowed. How could I have let this happen? I was supposed to protect him. The man with the red hair thought. The blonde one had thoughts of his own, why couldn't protect my son? First I seal a demon within him that makes his life miserable, and now he is dying because I held back. The person in the gurney was a blonde boy of 16, covered in his and others' blood. The boy's cloak was in tatters, so was his shirt and shinobi vest. Lacerations, burns, cuts, and scars covered his body. 2 thin openings from a katana in his chest and 4 punctures from kunai on his bod, 1 in his bicep, 1 in his stomach, another in his chest, and the last near his ribcage. Another cut on his right cheek which crossed diagonally over his 3 whisker marks. Blood from his lip, mouth, chest, leg, arms, and head. The boy in the gurney was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the legacy of the Yellow Flash. Also known as the Crimson Cyclone, the Bloody Storm, the Kyuubi Reincarnation, the Golden Maelstrom. And now, hero of Konoha. But all at a price, this one possibly too hefty. Get him on the table stat. Tsunade yelled as she, Shizune, and 5 other surgeons walked into the OR, get me morphine, an IV drip, type B plus blood, clamps, scalpels, forceps, gauze, adrenaline syringe, Venturi mask, an O2 tank, and sake. Once all the necessary supplies and sake were retrieved, they began operating. He had major internal bleeding, 3rd-degree burns, 13 broken bones, both lungs punctured, and lacerations. It brought Shizune to her feet to see Naruto wearing a Venturi mask, being cut into, and about to die in front of her. As they were operating, his pulse weakened and the EKG electrocardiogram, it's EKG not ECG. Flat-lined, were loosing him. Shizune yelled as she grabbed the defibrillator, adjusted the voltage and put the electrode handles on Naruto's chest. His body jumped up from the shock, but his heart didn't respond. Turn up the defibrillator, commanded Tsunade. They continued. The Uzumaki Namikaze family heard the semi-panic, which brought even further distraught to them, causing them to cry more. At this point Kushina and Masami's words were just mumbles. Kenshin and Minato had tears in their eyes that had them both thinking the same thing: how did this happen? 25 minutes earlier, Naruto was fighting side by side with his friends and family. As him and Kenshin were sweeping the sound with a mix of Kazakenjutsu, Anbu started to appear in the battle. Naruto decapitated one and took his mask. The Jinchuriki's eyes narrowed at the symbol, so did his uncle's when he showed it to him. Uncle, its root, meaning. Danzo Tem is here, the scarred swordsman interrupted, be on alert. So you took my insult line, huh? If you weren't family I would launch you into the sky. That's it. Naruto received a grand idea and went to his friends. You take. Launch me up. Hinata, use air palm to push me into the sky. And tell everyone to clear the area. They did as Naruto requested. He jumped on top of Udake's Zanbato, who propelled it forward. He reached about 5 feet in the air. That was when Hinata came into the plan and pushed a large amount of chakra to her arm, air palm. She yelled. Then the blonde was pushed up another 30 feet in the air. That was when he began his tactic, Verto. Larnarv appeared in the sky in his mighty glory, but his armor was blood red and his eyes glowed purple. As gravity caused him to fall, his figure and trident glowed with golden flames. Divine comet crash. The crimson-cloaked blonde crashed to the ground as a meteor, creating a giant, fiery crater which severely crippled Danzo's root forces. Naruto's allies kept thanking him mentally to get a warning. That boy could accomplish the impossible at 16. Imagine him in his prime, only a few years away. When Naruto did recover from the crater, he was in human form without his cloak, and burned a bit. Hinata instantly ran to her boyfriend. Oh my god. You didn't tell me this was gonna happen. It's okay, I'm alright. Naruto comforted her, but his wince of pain betrayed him. My demon chakra interfered with my night mode. It siphons of my chakra, and now reacts violently to my chaotic chakra. Here, she gave him a small medical ninjutsu on his leg to help him fight. In return he gave her his chakra to almost fill her chakra reserves. Thanks Hinata-chan. No, thank you Naruto-kun. The two started deeply at each other. No matter the violence that was occurring, it was a romantic moment. Their faces closed in on each other's enough so they could feel the other's breath. There was a huge explosion on the side of them. As their lips closed in, it was only 2 centimeters until their lips touched, until Masami yelled at them, war first, sex later. Imouto, Masami-san. They both separated blushing. It was a minor silence before they both agreed and continued to fight. Sayu was in a bit of trouble at the moment, so Naruto went to help her out, and Hinata aided Shikamaru. The Shinarashi was surrounded. True, there was water all around her. But there was one problem. Damn, I'm out of chakra. That was until Naruto appeared in a crimson flash. He pushed a Rasengan through the first sound Nin's heart. The next one, he leg swiped and stabbed. When there was enough distance between his friend and his enemies, he grabbed her hand. She blushed at the grip of his strong grip. Suddenly all of her chakra returned to her. Get out of the water. I'm gonna shock it. You will be shocked too. There may be water on them, but so is there on you, she told him, fearing of what was about to happen. Naruto just whispered, go. Sayu did as Naruto told her. She didn't want Naruto in pain, but she trusted him, and he trusted her. So she jumped away, and in the middle, she heard, Chidori current. The ground shortly lit up in lightning as the root and sound shinobi yelled in pain, but so did Naruto. All of the enemies surrounding Naruto fell face first, signifying that their hearts had stopped from the voltage. She was in fear of what happened to Naruto. He fell on his knees, smoke coming from his cloths. He was alive but barely. She ran as fast as she could and hugged him. All the blonde did was give Sayu his fox smile, one with pain, but happiness too. Come on, the Namikaze said as he stood up, our jobs aren't done yet. Danzo, he yelled as he found his chakra signature. Only his chakra could match with the darkness in his heart, and it was headed towards Hinata's. He teleported to her using the Flying Thunder God seal formula on her necklace that he gave her on their first date. He reappeared behind her, and barely dodged a katana slash heading towards him. Hinata, you are not safe. Danzo is headed for you, because he thinks that killing you will weaken my control over Kurama's chakra, making me easier to control with his Sharingan. How does he have a Sharingan? She asked as she punched several root in the chest, shattering their bones like glass and having the shards impale their organs. Naruto used a Raikiri to stab through several more root and sound, then he spoke. According to our spies and the intel they gathered, he stole an Uchiha's eye before the massacre, and then implanted 10 other Sharingan and the Shadaime Hokage's cells in his body so he can control all Biju, and use them as a weapon. Okay, let's G. Explosive tag, she yelled as a kunai was thrown on the ground 3 feet away from the couple. When it went off, Naruto jumped in front of Hinata, and covered her from the blast with his own body. After the blast, she opened her eyes to reveal Naruto shielding her. Are you alright? Hinata-chan, Naruto weakly asked. She nodded her head with tears. Those tears bursted out when 2 roots stabbed Naruto in his chest, each blade piercing his lung. Naruto coughed out blood. Danzo walked out of the smoke with kunai in his hand. He threw them at Naruto. One in his stomach, the other on his side, one in his bicep, and the last inches away from his heart. No! The young Hyuga screamed as her lover was being used as a pin cushion right in front of her eyes, trying to shield her. Stop. A strong one, huh? Danzo spoke. Slash him. The root grabbed kunai's, and began to deeply cut Hinata. More and more blood poured down Naruto's body as he still protected her. It's okay, Hinata-chan. You are safe. Sorry for being a baka. The blonde's body slumped down beside Hinata. Naruto's blood dripped down her cheek. Sadness replaced by anger. You bastard. I'll kill you. Hinata charged with a katana she picked up. Danzo, who just stood there smugly, did nothing. He just had a smile that went away as both of his arms were cut off. Not by Hinata, but by 2 people behind him. Everyone looked back to see Minato Namikaze and Kenshin Uzumaki with their chakra violently burning with fury and rage. You attack our family, Kenshin began. You kill my son, Minato continued. You defile the dead, Kenshin spoke again. And you think we won't hurt you? They both yelled at the same time. Both sliced their blades through Danzo's legs. He screamed in pain as all of his appendages were removed. His torso and head were on the ground. Finally they delivered the killing blow. Kenshin stabbed his Zanbato in Danzo's right eye, and Minato stabbed Soul Judgment through Danzo's left, instantly killing him. Both of the men ran to Naruto. The root began to retreat as their leader was killed. The sound followed, knowing failure was inevitable if they continued. We won, the battle is over, the bastards are retreating, victory is ours, was what the shinobi said. Masami and Kushina hugged and celebrated until they saw a crowd, so they went inside. What they found scarred them. That's my son. That's my boy. What happened? She asked and screamed with tears. Masami and Hinata performed a vast degree of medical ninjutsu to lessen the bleeding to get Naruto inside a hospital. As the crowd cleared, Minato carried his son to the Konoha General Hospital as Kenshin, Masami, and Kushina cleared the pathway. Ino took crying Hinata to her home so she could calm down. Now, Naruto's pulse weakened and the EKG electrocardiogram, it's EKG not ECG, flatlined. We're losing him. Shizune yelled as she grabbed the defibrillator, adjusted the voltage and put the electrode handles on Naruto's chest. His body jumped up from the shock, but his heart didn't respond. Turn up the defibrillator, commanded Tsunade. They continued. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was in a pit of darkness. Am I dead? No, Kit, Kurama said as he appeared behind Naruto. This is what humans call limbo, the path before death. So is this in my head? Naruto asked Kurama. No. Then you aren't Kurama. He is always in my head. He would only be here if his soul was still sealed inside me, but it is inside Soul Judgment. Who are you? Clever boy, Kurama spoke as the figures shape-shifted into a humanoid shadow, forming a woman wearing a black kimono with white trees. She had white hair with black highlights, a slender body with curves, pure black eyes, and flawless skin. Her energy was dark, but peaceful, benevolent, and beautiful. My name is Shinigami, Naruto interrupted. Yes, I know, because of your beauty, choice of clothing, chakra nature, and overall presence. She blushed at Naruto's acknowledgement of his comment at beauty, smart kid and handsome too. I wonder if you may be a god, Shinigami-san, but your emotions and looks of lust and interest are human. And to answer your question, no, I am taken, Naruto said calmly. He just stood up, the god of death. Most people would shake in fear, but Naruto was not most people. Why am I here? If you think I did this to you, I did not. Whoever is in limbo, which is rare, is there because their bodies die, but their minds and spirit choose not to. But I must ask you, why do you continue to fight? What drives you? Never has a human been more stubborn, nor resilient about death. Naruto's eyes widened. It reminded him of when Kenshin trained him 3 years ago. The faces and smiles of his friends and family flashed through his head. My answer to why I fight is just not to defeat my opponents, but rather than defeat my inner demons. To prove to those who can't fight for themselves that there is hope. Shinigami smiled. This human was the purest of heart to ever exist. Promise me this, you will never stop fighting. Naruto nodded. She grabbed his shirt and pulled him, then whispered, a little goodbye gift, then smashed her lips upon Naruto's. The blonde's eyes were wide every single second of the 4-second kiss until she faded into a shadow. I just got the kiss of death. Damn. Back in the operating room, Naruto's heartbeat could once again be heard. It strengthened more and more. True, it wasn't normal, but it was better than none. Good, he's stabilizing. Continue the surgery. His heart may be saved, but his body may betray him. Tsunade sighed with relief, then began to continue the operation. She walked out of the OR after a long 2 hours. Minato and a very eye-puffed Kushina ran up to her. Naruto has stabilized and will have full recovery, but even with his healing factor, it may take days for him to recover. A week at least. He is one stubborn kid. Thank you, Tsunade-sama, Minato thanked as he took Kushina home, crying with tears of joy. 2 days after surgery, Hinata walked in the room with fresh flowers. Hi Naruto-kun, Ino and I got you flowers, while you recover. I hope you do soon. I miss you, we miss you. All of the nations want to thank the person who saved Konoha and stopped the Fourth Great Ninja War from occurring. Masami has been worried sick, but is an ambassador traveling to a cage summit to discuss about the Sound's invasion. She stopped and looked at Naruto. His face was pale, there was a large amount of gauze over his chest, some on his bicep, and also his forehead. There was a Venturi mask around his mouth and nose, so his lungs could function artificially before being stressed instantly after surgery, and he was also unconscious. A cast was also placed on his right ankle. Tsunade said that he was currently in coma, recovering and regenerating all of the wounds he had received, because Kurama's chakra and his chaotic chakra was used up to shield Hinata, his regeneration was even slower. But the EKG's data and graphs showed he was very much alive. Get well soon, the Hyuga teenager said as she left her flowers next to the large mass of more flowers, cards, and balloons. She pulled up a chair, sat on it, put her head on Naruto's hospital bed and fell asleep. 8 days after surgery, it was a sunny afternoon, full of excitement, and the usual Konoha cheer. But for some, it wasn't. The person who allowed Konoha to still exist, was in the hospital with a coma, recovering from lacerations, stabs, broken bones, third-degree burns, severe chakra exhaustion, and blood loss. Nonetheless, he and the others who had fallen were honored. Naruto used to the called failure, demon, brat, filth. But in that battle 8 days ago, the blonde's true color were shown, one that gave him the name of savior, hero, and legacy of the yellow flash. Back in his hospital room, Hinata was asleep on his side again. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes snapped open, he breathed heavily and took off the Venturi mask. The Jinchuriki put his hand on Hinata's shoulder. You know, that could alter your posture and spine. Once the lavender-haired Hyuga heard the voice, she shot up and hugged Naruto on his bed. Shit. That hurts. Sorry. Hinata apologized, I just got so excited. It's okay, Hinata-chan. Do you know where my clothes are? Naruto asked as he slowly got up, and noticed the light blue pants and shirt he wore. Hinata shook her head, most of clothes got ripped when you go here. The rest were somehow taken by fangirls. Naruto's sweat dropped and fearfully asked, how many? More than you think, Hinata replied. Naruto just asked, how do you know? I'm the president, Hinata blushed and answered. She gave him new clothes. Ones made for casual wear instead of shinobi wear, a black sweatpants with an orange stripe going down each leg, and black shirt that had the Uzushio symbol on the back. Thanks, Naruto thankfully said as he took his shirt off and went inside the room's bathroom. Hinata blushed as she saw his front and back abdominal muscles. After changing, he washed his face and ran his hand through his hair to make it spiky. Hinata, I think this shirt clothes is a size too small. Mini Hinata had a nosebleed when she saw how the shirt hugged Naruto's well-developed chest. Thank you Anko-sensei. Really? They seem fine. I guess I grew in THSOE 8 days, shall we? We shall. Hinata took the Jinchuriki's arm and left the hospital. To get to the hotel that Naruto's family were staying, they would have to cross the markets. The markets with fangirls. All of them started to flood around Naruto, until Hinata grabbed his face, and kissed him passionately. The villagers around them, awed, in cuteness while the fangirls groaned in defeat. After shaking of more fangirls, and a series of painful hugs, handshakes, thank yous, and light cheek kisses they arrived at the hotel. Knock knock. Kenshin opened the door to see a smiling Hinata. Oh, good afternoon Hinata, good afternoon Kenshin Taicho. I brought news about Naruto. Masami, Minato, and Kushina instantly ran to the door to ask, what happened? Is he alright? All at the same time. Hinata smiled kindly, and moved to the side to show them Naruto. Ask him yourself. Hi Oka-san, Otou-san, Oji, Imouto, Naruto greeted with his fox smile. Masami touched her brother's face to make sure he wasn't a genjutsu, then she hugged him hard. Imouto, I am real, but so are my wounds. They still haven't healed, he said painfully as Masami loosened the hug a bit, and Naruto hugged her too. Naruto, Kushina whispered as she hugged him too. Soon Minato, Kenshin, and Hinata joined. They stopped when Naruto's shirt damped, so he lifted it up to reveal that his left lung stitched had opened. Naruto, grab Soul Judgment. Kenshin yelled. Naruto quickly ran towards the table and grabbed the claymore's handle. Naruto's eyes became crimson with black slits, and then returned to their normal blue. His wounds started to regenerate rapidly, mending his bones, unscaring tissue, closing the stab wound. Hell, he had Hinata pull out the stitches so they wouldn't crawl into his body. Normal people body healed, where Naruto's regenerated. His body quickly made new cells, instead of replacing the cells. In a matter of seconds, not a single injury nor drop of blood was on his chest or body. A swirling shadow appeared from the sword, and formed into an image of his father, except, he had black hair with red highlights and streaks, crimson slit eyes, 3 whisker marks on each cheek, sharp teeth, 9 tails leashing out behind him, and demonic chakra. I've been saving some chakra for you, so your regeneration could speed up. Is this human form fitting? It's from your father genetics, so I am basically your new uncle. Naruto laughed and hugged Kurama. You sly fox. Welcome to the family Kurama Namikaze. Sunset. Naruto, Masami, Hinata, Sayu, Utake, Akaru, Ino, Kiba, Shikamaru, Shino, Ino, Tenten, and Neji sat at the Hokage mountain watching the sunset. You know, that our battle has just begun, right? Sayu told her friends. Orochimaru is still alive, and so is Akatsuki. So what? Kiba said. That just gives us more asses to kick. Everyone but Shino, and Neji laughed. Yosh. That means I will find more rivals and enemies to challenge. Lee yelled. Bushy brows, you ever calm down? Naruto asked. Ten shook her head. He's got ADHD. So we can't do anything. Everything is going to change, isn't it? Ino said. We haven't seen what Akatsuki is capable of. How will we win? Naruto smiled. We will win. As long as we stay together, we will win. And I made a promise to never stop fighting. And I intend to keep it. Then you will need a medics, a stealthy bug user, a shadow user, a food pill provider, 2 Byakugans, a weapons mistress, a taijutsu master, 2 water users, a swordsman, a kenjutsu master, a genjutsu master, human dog partners, and a demon, Hinata said. Naruto kissed her. Just wait, we haven't even started.